Butterfly eggs, the seeds of dreams. We realized there was a stage that we have not talked about in the caterpillar to butterfly life cycle, which is the egg stage. And it was my amazing nephew who actually reminded us. He was talking to Rachel. He's like, Mom, you forgot a whole stage of the
Yeah.
butterfly, the caterpillar butterfly life cycle. And she was like, oh, we did. There's various different reasons for that. But as Rachel and I began talking about it, we realized, that's actually very important because the eggs are the seeds that come next. It's the planting of the dream. It's setting yourself up for the next season, the next process that you go through, the next seasons of change, the next step forward, the next movement in the direction that you're going. So, very important, vital, in fact, one might say.
Yeah, yeah. Critical to the life
Yeah.
cycle. Yeah, and I know I've shared before about how I think that we go through these cycles in our lifetime more than once. So I think there's kind of two parts to it. There's the cycle in our own lives, and then there's the cycle and impact on future generations going beyond ourselves. So when I think about the eggs, and Rebecca and I did some quick investigating on the eggs, and we're like, oh, wow, one butterfly can literally lay hundreds of eggs in her reproductive cycle over whatever time frame, could be weeks. And each one of those, when I think about them in terms of seeds in my own life, thinking about sowing little seeds when I'm in my butterfly stage, sowing a seed for something for the future, and the awareness of I might not pursue all of them, but just sowing these kind of little nuggets along the way as I'm going to prepare for something else. And it might even be that somebody else picks up the nugget
Yeah.
and goes with it, or it could be that that becomes the thing that I focus on in the next season. Like my next caterpillar season might be one coming from one of those eggs, that one particular one. And
Yeah.
Rebecca, I loved when you were saying like the butterfly eggs are the seeds of dreams, and you were commenting about how important it is for us to dream and allow space for the dreams, maybe even hundreds of dreams, even though we may not pursue all of them. What were some of your thoughts around that idea of allowing ourselves to have hundreds of dreams, knowing that we're probably not going to pursue all of them?
Yes. That's a great question. I think I realized that as you and I had been processing it all, I have had seasons in life in which I thought, okay, there's really just one thing that you should be one thing that you should do. There's a right thing and a wrong thing. You have to go find the right thing. I'm realizing that I've had lots of dreams, I've planted lots of dreams, but there were parts of me that thought, no, there's one way forward in life, and you have to find it, the one dream, and you have to plan it, and you have to make it happen. And if it doesn't, your life is on the line. And so I loved this idea of planting many dreams because I thought, whoa, what if it wasn't just one dream? What if I had hundreds of dreams? And in my lifetime, I get to see some of them, more than one, come to fruition. And I'd say that that's been my actual experience. My actual experience has been that I have more than one dream, that I have had the opportunity, and I hope to have many more, to see my dreams come to fruition. And I think oftentimes they are seasonal. So that it fits so well with seasons of change. I experience them as, hey, sometimes a dream comes to fruition and you're like, yeah, and now I'm focused on the next dream. How many of my friends who, when they became moms, their mom season was a very different season. They dreamt about that season. Now they're in it. And I know you never stop becoming a mom, right, once you've been one, but that season changes. The being a mom to a little kid is not the same as later in life, and they might see other dreams come to fruition. But back to the idea is, I like the idea of having hundreds of dreams because I think I'll get to see many come to life. I think planting many dreams, watering them, ruminating on them, thinking about them gives us hope. I think it can give us energy. I think it can kind of catapult us forward as we're looking at the dreams that we have and pursuing them. I also think that there's something very beautiful about having dreams that you realize change or don't come to fruition. I planted that dream years ago, and I see that I no longer hold the dream the same way, but it's still really valuable and it still gave me something. I'm so glad I laid that egg. I'm so glad I planted that seed so that I could look back and see how my dreams then impact me today. And then there's a third aspect of that, which is, I think sometimes you said it, we plant seeds that we don't see for ourselves, but maybe somebody else carries it forward. Or maybe it's your legacy and your own future generations are taking a dream that you had and held dear and seeing it come to fruition. Like you said that the monarchs, like the really long flight of the monarch, doesn't actually happen in every generation of monarch butterflies. I didn't know that. Oh, that's fascinating. It only happens
I think
like
it's
in
the fourth generation,
okay,
or something like that.
so it only happens in every fourth generation. Maybe you're not part of that generation, but maybe the dreams that you planted are part of that generation. And all of the dreams that you're planting now both contribute to that. And they contribute to your own cycles of discovery and change. For me, it feels very exciting. Like I get to plant many dreams and get to see my many dreams. And what if my many dreams have a positive impact on other people? And what if they have a positive impact on me? I get to have more than one. I get to live out more than one. That sounds really good.
Yeah, and that you sparked a whole bunch of different thoughts in different directions.
I could see the
Yes,
wheels
you could see-
turning.
you could
I was
see
like,
one was with the different generations, just like you can't get to the season of flight in the butterfly without going through the caterpillar stage, without going through the chrysalis goose stage, without going through the breakout stage. You can't get to that. So it doesn't really matter in our own lives. I think it's interesting to think about some seasons of the kind of the generational life cycle. I might have a number of smaller seasons and then have a longer one.
Yeah.
I think that's very fascinating to think about that and to realize that there's no part that's insignificant in that. There's no part that isn't without value and without merit, without meaning. And some of the other stuff that stood out to me. Oh, go ahead.
Just before you do that, I think that's very significant. No part is insignificant, no matter what season you're in. And it is okay to take a moment to actually just be like, yeah, no part of my seasons of change are insignificant, no matter how big or small. I love that.
Yeah. And I think it'd be very tempting to view ourselves as insignificant. And I think that that's one of the things that we wrestle with in our humanity is the sense of purpose and significance. And it can be so easy to view ourselves, dismiss ourselves, minimize ourselves as insignificant or unimportant. And yet, I think there's something beautiful about recognizing that whatever season we're in, just like we've been saying about embracing each season, there can be something beautiful about embracing that kind of full cycle, whether it's a short one or a long one.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't feel very exciting, just like the goose season doesn't feel very exciting compared to the season of flight. It just doesn't.
I can't imagine that the egg season actually feels that exciting either. I mean, you're just this tiny, tiny little nubbin on the back of a leaf, and you're sitting there waiting to grow very rapidly into a caterpillar. But I mean.
So a couple of the other things that had stood out to me were about dreams and the idea of sowing the seed of multiple dreams, and then this pressure that we feel for one dream to be the thing that we pursue. I think that is so good, because it actually kind of stymies us a little bit. If you have to have just one dream, then you put yourself in a box, and it's kind of the old adage of having all your eggs in one basket and like everything being on this one thing. And then if it doesn't go the way you envisioned, how hard that can be for us to process. And Rebecca actually offers a workshop on reimagining dreams, where we kind of go back and we look at past dreams that maybe your lifestyle has morphed in a way, but the rest of your system doesn't quite realize that the dream that you had in your teens or whenever it was doesn't fit the season you're in now, and how it may have morphed into something else. So I think there's that element. And I think there's something wildly creative about allowing ourselves to dream.
Yes.
Allowing ourselves to have an idea that's a cool idea that you maybe do nothing with ever. But having the permission to go ahead and lay that little egg, sow that little seed, knowing that it might not grow. And it also makes me think about planting. We're right now in the season when we're starting to plant gardens. There's a lot of this activity going on, and we've been sprouting seeds. So we've been growing some tomatoes, radishes, soybeans. My son's been testing a few different seeds, but then also helping with the larger garden. And
Excitement.
instead of buying the plants this year, the little seedlings already sprouted, they did them from seeds this year.
Oh.
And it's been interesting to see the row of all these tomatoes and all these other plants. And some of them didn't come up.
Right.
Or some of them didn't do well with the watering or lack thereof.
Mm.
And yet others survived the
Yeah.
lack of watering or the overwatering or the underwatering. And it's kind of interesting because I know that people who are doing a garden regularly, they are watching the plants and they don't expect every single one of them to sprout. They don't expect every single one of them to survive. And they're not crushed when one doesn't make it. They might
Right.
be disappointed, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I had this one thing and it didn't make it. And it makes me think of a study or experiment, not exactly sure what it was, that they did with art and students. And so they had two groups. They had one group that had to do 100 different iterations of whatever the project was.
Okay.
And then they had one group that only did it one time. And the difference between the people who tried 100 different things versus the people who only had one shot to get it just right, the difference was that this group that did it multiple times actually advanced further in the art, in the creation, in the whatever, and got comfortable with the fact that some things didn't look that good. Whereas this group had so much pressure to get it exactly right.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about that with the dreams. That when we allow ourselves the freedom of creativity, you might have an idea that comes to mind and it's like, oh, that's really cool. You know what? It is really cool, but it's actually not something I'm going to pursue.
Yeah.
And giving ourselves that freedom of creativity just opens up so much in us, because I believe truly that we are creative beings, and that when we engage in creativity, we open up ourselves to so much more, and we give ourselves permission to grow and experience in ways that we wouldn't otherwise.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great example. It resonates a lot with me because my experience with the dreams that I said at the beginning, this idea that, oh, I will have one dream that I'm supposed to
Yeah.
have and pursue. It's been very stressful and very disappointing to only have this one dream in front of you and to go, oh, what happens if you don't make it? What happens if the one dream that you had doesn't come to fruition versus, no, I have hundreds and I get to explore them and I get to reiterate and I get to change and I get to grow and I get to see the dreams change and grow with me and I get to mourn and release the dreams that I didn't see come to fruition. But that doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean I stop.
No.
It doesn't stop me from moving forward. That's very beautiful.
It changes your narrative.
Yeah.
Like the narrative, the meaning that we assign to things can shift. So the meaning, our own perception of how things work shifts. And when we shift it to like, I have lots of possibilities, I have lots of options available to me,
Yeah.
that's so much more freeing than, oh, there's this just one thing, one way to do it, I'm locked in, and if I miss it, I've missed it, and who knows what's going to happen now. So,
Good.
yeah. And I did think, I just noticed today, I'm wearing this shirt.
Ah.
We hadn't talked about what we were going to talk about this morning when I was getting dressed, and I think it's worth you defending your dreams, just sowing them, allowing them to exist, just allowing them to be sown, for those little eggs to be put on the backs of leaves with the potential of becoming the caterpillar that's just going to devour some leaves
Yes.
and get fat and sassy. That potential, and it's okay if they don't all become part of your next season. That's
Yeah.
okay. So,
So this
As
is your
always-
invitation
Yes.
to sow some dreams, plant those seeds, lay those eggs,
yeah.
be excited, have hope. Sit down and do a dream session. Ask yourself questions. What do you want? All the things that you could possibly want, whether they're ever going to happen or not. Dream big, dream small, dream a lot. And know that those dreams are setting you up for something good.
Yeah. And as you said that, it made me think about giving yourself permission to dare to sow the seeds, dare to lay the eggs.
Yeah.
And in the little research that we did, they said that the female butterfly can lay 300 to 500 eggs and still have eggs in them when they've passed. And I was like, wow, you have endless potential in you. And when you choose to engage that creativity, you open up your access to that creativity. You open your access to that potential. So
It's good.
as always, we invite you to live fully present, to create meaningful change. And today, especially, we invite you to dare to dream. Bye, everyone.